No, it's a gay bar. I go there because
It's interesting for us to go to the gay bar as well.
it's like I don't yeah, it's like a little like place outside. I don't really go out that much. Not really
Also, the second Sunday of the month, John Rocket. Really? I didn't.
If you go onto the social justice alchemy channel,
I
go onto
did.
videos and then click sort by oldest. It's the fourth oldest. Interestingly, episode 2 has come before episode 1. But
Oh, I see it now. Okay. I listened to episode 2, not episode 1. We're also now live.
Yes, we are.
all right.
And because everyone missed it, Isaiah just came out of the closet.
No, Isaiah's just going to a gay bar. That's it. I can understand why people are going to the gay bar. John Broadbent, it is the second Sunday of the month.
most of the other bars around here are garbage, so
Honestly, yeah, I can understand a lot of straight bars being like garbage as well too. But for some of them, that's actually their pitch as well too. They're dives as well too, or it'll be a dive bar or something like that. And it's just like a hole in the wall. You just go there to get drunk and something like that. And some people like that kind of atmosphere as well too.
yeah.
Uh,
When you said
but
dive bar, my mind went to the lyrics of Pet Shop Boys, Western Girls, by the way.
I like that
Great
song.
song.
Yeah.
Excellent
Well,
song.
I was waiting for Owen to say something since he's British, so I was waiting for you to open your mouth.
No,
Oh,
it's one of our,
McDonald,
you know.
you're a British. Do you know the British band, the Pet Shop Boys?
It's such like an executive thing to say, isn't it? Like, oh, we need to get a British band out. Let's ask our one British person.
Yeah.
Yeah, you must know them.
You
But
know
no,
it,
they are
Queen.
quite good. Yeah, personally, King now.
In more ways than one.
That's right. Like King Charles, King Chuck is worth to. Hello, Metro, the other British friend we have in the live chat right now, and hello, Joe. How are you doing as well
Hey,
too?
Owen, do you hate I'm sorry to interrupt you, geek. Do you hate
No problem.
because because Mithral hates it, but
Well, I
I
hate what? Sorry.
but
Titanic.
but me as American, I love it.
Hate.
So
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Sorry. Hate what?
Titanic.
Titanic.
Oh,
James,
Titanic. You know, I'm going to tell you something. I've never actually seen Titanic.
okay.
I've not yet got around to sitting through it. I mean, I can't imagine it's I like Celine Dion. She's a good singer, but
It's
beyond that, I mean,
basically it's like it, it's hard to explain because it's such a it's like it's James Cameron
Kate
makes
Winslet has amazing breasts. That's the selling point of that movie. Also, Leonardo DiCaprio's there. Everybody's wearing nice clothes, and then the
DiCaprio's
ship
very pretty
sinks.
as well. But right, loads of good talent in that film. DiCaprio is a very good actor as well.
Mhm.
If other parts of his life were a little bit questionable, but
Yeah.
you know, it's he can at least act, which is what you're going for.
I love,
I have seen the I have heard of the animated Titanic though.
Which one? There's two of them.
I must admit I do quite enjoy you know, the worse end of films than the sort of highbrow. Can you call Titanic highbrow? I mean, it's a sort of it's a
No,
It's a 3-hour epic.
Titanic is
yeah, there you are.
people
James
don't like
Cameron.
people don't like it because they say it's too long or they say it's melodramatic, but I'm like, but
Oh, yeah.
It has
motherfuckers,
Billy
what?
Zane as a bad guy. You can't go wrong with that.
Mhm.
I like it because like I like ships of that period. Oh, like Owen, one day, like if I don't get to go anywhere else in the world, I'm gonna go to England because you guys have so many like Navy museums. My autistic ass would lose my shit.
You're a big boat person then, is that?
Yes, boats, airplanes, trains, not although not the
Let's see,
stereotypical.
you're working on the Cappadocia right now, right?
Yeah, that um I don't want to get it because I don't pick it up, but I do a lot of models and ships because I like ships of that era.
It's an very impressive skill, to be honest. I mean, I feel like I'm too clumsy to actually ever do something. I just like break
He
it
also
all
makes them light up.
after.
Yeah,
Very nice.
can I share?
But no, you'll be in luck if you come to the UK because I feel like it's basically a very museum for anything basically for any town you go. Um,
Yeah.
but no, I mean our whole the Industrial Revolution started here, right? So it's you don't have to look far for any sort of train, plane, ship. Yeah,
Hmm.
with the Navy, best Navy in the world for a while. That's not sound like a proper imperialist, don't I? Some
Hmm.
like
Oh,
code.
There's
yeah.
there's a boat museum in North Carolina, a ship museum, a museum dedicated to a ship in North Carolina, the CSS Noose. No, I mean it's North Carolina, not that kind of noose. It's
Okay.
Neuse. It's named after the river that it sailed on. It was an ironclad that never got finished because the South was a third world shithole, like it is
I
now.
was I was like,
So
whoa.
they ran out of iron, and then they heard the Yankees were coming, so they sailed it up the river and got stuck in the mud. So they decided to use it as an artillery emplacement, which is a terrible idea because ships have small guns and they are literally as low as it's possible to get, sea level. So then they heard the Yankees were coming, so they dug it out of the mud and they sailed it back down the river. And then they heard the Yankees were coming, so they scuttled it.
Hey John, can I share a picture of my model of my Titanic in the chat somehow?
Sure, let's well, not in the
Yes,
chat. Let's
yes.
see, share. Participant can share at a time. Advanced sharing options. All participants. There we go. Now you can share it.
Okay. It's telling me unable to send file due to admin restrictions.
Don't do it in the
Try it
chat.
again.
Go up to the top of the screen and click, or maybe the bottom of the screen and click share. So
Oh,
yeah, 100 years after they scuttled the ship, they pulled it out of the river and built a monument to racism because it was the civil rights era. My family went there. They almost got kicked out because my dad was laughing so hard.
can you guys see it?
Yep, is
Yes,
that the
yes, we
That
Titanic?
is
can.
very lovely.
Yep, this is the type. So this is the one that I made, the one's 350. Yeah, I drilled all the holes out, put the lights in,
And
and
there's
now
a tiny little Billy Zane right there.
I'm gonna start selling them now. So
Mm-hmm.
go ahead
And
and
you've got an iceberg model as well to go with it.
so this
Yeah,
is
it's very nice, is there?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. I do this for I'm gonna
I don't think there are enough lifeboats.
start selling it. That's another one. Yeah, I'm
And so
gonna
how much do these sell for? How much are you
He
pocketing
hasn't
from?
thinking
sold
about
them yet. He's
I
going to.
just said that, yeah, but I'm thinking about like one is probably gonna be like maybe like 250.
Yeah, that's a fair price.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna be
Especially since you
cheap.
added so much to it.
Hmm.
See, you're reminding me of I don't know if any of you have seen The Wire, the TV show.
I should. I
Um,
really should.
but there's a character in that he's like a detective, and his part-time other income is selling like little models like that. Makes him quite a bit in that. So
No.
none of you have seen The Wire.
I've heard of
I
it.
know. I
It's
really
got a
should.
black
I
guy.
really should. Well,
It's got more than one.
as I know, I really like it, the politics because like the creator of the show was really saying something, and other like people who's like taste in like media I respect, but also like the politics align with me. They're also anarchists too. Love The Wire too for a lot of reasons as well too. So like I know I should watch The Wire, but I just haven't yet.
It's like an excellent response to the war on drugs and the legacy of that on urban environments. So it focuses on Baltimore, um,
Mhm.
obviously in Maryland, and just
Yes.
goes from there. I won't say too much because it's definitely. I wish I could see it for the first time again. Outstanding. Well, it'll
Mhm.
always probably be my number one ranked show.
Are you taking
Second,
criminal?
well, I
Are you
mean,
taking notes on a criminal conspiracy, motherfucker?
an excellent line from yeah, one of many
That's the
British
only thing I know
actors who
about
have
The Wire.
smuggled themselves into that show. You'll have
Except
seen
the
memes
cops
from
were
it.
bad.
The cops were bad. Well, the cops were. I mean, I say bad.
They were
It's
just another
still an
criminal
American
gang.
show, so they're showed with more honesty than a lot of other shows do.
Mm.
Um, some people would say that the show still is a bit too friendly towards police portrayals, but I would say that you can interpret it different ways depending on how you sort of come at it. Either way, it's excellent. It's number one. Has anyone seen The Sopranos?
No, I haven't yet.
There was an Italian guy.
Yes.
Very
I've
nice.
seen
Hello,
a couple
Joe.
of
How are you?
episodes.
Hi,
Hey, Joe.
John.
I finally
Hello.
just like
Oh,
I finally messaged our patrons, DMing them their like the Zoom link because you have forgotten to put the Zoom link
Oh,
in the
right. It's
Patreon.
second Sunday.
Okay, no, this is my frustration. I mentioned it in the Facebook and like messages group a couple of times. I mentioned like 3 times in here right now, 2 on like on the stream, and like a 3rd time in like the group member or the chat as well too. It's been mentioned a couple of times by like Ely
Well,
and
I
Joe
can't
in
help
the
it if
live
I
chat.
wasn't paying attention.
You're the fucking host of this fucking show. So like,
It's nice to meet you, Joe. I don't think I've actually spoken to you before.
hello.
It's nice to I'm terrible with keeping up with social media and stuff. So you have to
Yeah.
forgive me if I've sort of just appeared out of nowhere to come on
No,
this.
that's all good.
I'll ask you, Joe, have you seen The Wire?
I have seen the first and about half of the second season and never got around to finishing it, which I really should, but
Well, if I recommend
like,
one thing on this stream, it will be that. It's a fantastic show. As Joe McClory says in the chat, probably the best attempt at an anti-cop show.
yeah, yeah,
In that it's just a bit more honest about what goes on in
Joe
inner
MC
cities.
is
yeah,
Joe McCoy.
there are bits in other shows that had cop characters and other stuff that does play at it. There's some episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There is a fantastic episode of Rock that that goes into the racial prejudice of the police department. Uh, and but yeah, as a full thing, even shows where like The Shield, where the cop were, like the
They are
main character
openly
was
corrupt and
meant
should be the
to
bad
a
guys.
villain. It still isn't as biting as what I've seen of The Wire.
It's been called this. It's like a show that goes into the sociology of crime, the sociology of the criminal world, and how people interact with it. It's fantastic. And then The Sopranos, as I was going on to, it's like the psychology of crime. It's like what is the mindset of a criminal in that world. I like to think that it's also just as anti-capitalist and honest about crime as the other show, just from a different perspective. But I'll happily. I mean, HBO shows. I could talk about them all day. Phenomenal. Hello, Eli. I believe also the first time I've spoken to you before as well.
Yeah.
It's like
I think I followed you on Twitter for a while.
Oh, thank
Now
you.
I follow
I
you
mean,
again.
I have probably. I mean, I say fully migrated. I've been on there like once or twice
Okay.
to check messages and stuff. But I've tried to remove myself from from that sphere of late. So apologies if I have not followed you back or anything.
No, but that's fine. It's fine.
You should like follow Ely's Blue Sky of like a Princess Luna because
Cat
like
account. My cat account.
because like it's a account for like beautiful cat pictures, and who doesn't want that as well too.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So like Joe, Ely, 2 of our patrons. So how are you doing? How has the week been treating you so far?
How's the year?
Weird as hell. Weird as hell with all the Trump bullshit.
Oh yeah. I think
The
we should
economy's
talk-
going to go in the toilet.
Yeah.
We should talk about Greenland and the fires today.
Yeah, it's.
Hey, did you know that Zuck's inflatable penis pump thing is what started the fires?
No, I didn't know
my
that.
goodness.
But
Because Zuckerberg and Meta have done a thing with the free speech.
Oh, that's right.
People are posting definitely very true stories on Facebook.
because
Hey, do you know about his connection with John Benet Ramsey?
Oh my goodness.
Yes, on Threads, Instagram, and Facebook, there's like barely any fact checking as it were too, because the fact checkers were all being way too politically partisan, and that's not
yes.
fun.
Yes,
they're eliminating that entirely.
Some people pushing back on the fact checkers. It's like, I wonder why. Is it liars? Is it liars that are pushing back on the fact checkers?
why? What if it's part of my religion to question the sanity of Christian fundamentalists? Yeah.
I don't.
They're ridiculous people, honestly.
I don't.
You do
know.
wonder when hopefully there's a timeline where a more equitable and fair systems in place, and then some of these people are read
No, it's
back
just going to be
quickly.
Nazis all the way down.
I live in hope, John. I live in hope.
Well, that's why I'm not having.
the
No,
idea
I
that
think
there
you live in
wasn't-
Egypt because you're in denial.
Ah,
the idea that there wasn't a huge drop in the polls when the vice president in the vice presidential debate said, "I was told there would be no fact checking. We agreed there to be no fact checking," is such an indictment of where we are right now.
Yeah.
but what
It's
infuriates
sad.
me though,
It's
what
a
makes me
sad.
so cross with it is that it's not even just where it's like it's not even it's like the language of elections and the system to say, yeah, yes, they have all the support and everyone loves them. Like if you look at who's actually voting, like obviously it's a lot, but it's like 1 in 4, 1 in 5. Like
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
but yeah, at the same time, because of how much noise and volume they have, like in the media and in sort of public spheres, it seems like it's so much more. And yet here we
Yeah.
are on the
Yeah.
precipice of Trump round 2.
A lot of the discussions I had with political normies at work, people that disengage but are upset that all of the commercials happen around election time.
Mhm.
And it's like, honestly, if you want to see less politics, the only answer is to vote against Trump because it will just be the news.
Mhm.
Like, it won't even just be political news for political nerds like me. It
Mhm.
will
Mhm.
just be the news for
Yeah.
the entirety of his presidency.
Yeah. Thomas Smith started the Opening Arguments podcast so we could talk about obscure law stuff in the news. Just explain weird stuff. And then 3 weeks later, Trump got elected. And that was what his show was about because he was nothing but a criminal from day one.
Yeah.
Mhm. He's now is a convicted felon criminal that is going to be the president. But so he got sentenced finally.
Times
Well, he's
30
not going to die in prison. He's going to die in the White House.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully. Not saying that anyone does anything. I'm hoping
No, he's just really fucking old and very
yes, I'm
unhealthy.
hoping.
His
Yes.
diet is shit. His diet is shit.
I mean, that's not necessarily true. There's still 8 days.
God. And then we can look forward to President Vance instead.
I mean, that's not better, but
yeah.
the idea of there not being another Trump presidency.
An
Worth
eyeliner.
it.
Dear.
Uh,
And then
Also-
when it's not, oh sorry, I interrupted someone.
It's also just sort of like, is Trump being serious with all the bullshit he's saying about invading other countries?
Yes.
Or is he trying to deflect attention away from something?
Yes.
a
also
little
yes.
from column A, little from column B, because
Yeah.
he could be just like verbal diarrhea, just like a stream of consciousness, no filter, and saying these random things as well too. But as the president, which he's not yet, but like given 9 days or so, he will be, or 8 days, he will be soon. But like he will say these as a president, and we have to take him seriously as a president, or at least challenge him as well. Are you serious about renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America?
Yeah.
I got something to add to that about since I live on the Gulf of Mexico, at least part of it. If you've seen pictures of the Gulf of Mexico, what does it look like?
Mm-hmm.
A big
Look up
crater.
Look up a picture right now, and look up a picture of the Gulf of Mexico right now, and you'll see something
Okay.
pretty interesting of what it looks like.
That's where the crater hit, where the dinosaurs were
Yep.
extinct from.
That's
Chicxulub crater. Not the Tanaka.
No,
Ah,
I mean the
okay.
Gulf of Mexico. Look at like get a topographical map of that area, and I want you to guess what it looks like.
A giant whale,
Ah, like-
honestly.
Yeah, like
No,
a
bring up a picture. Oh, I'll bring it up.
Yeah, we can all
Where this is
Google
going.
like a Gulf.
I hadn't even heard that he said he was going to try and rename it to Gulf of America. That's I don't know why I'm
It looks
surprised.
kind of like
but-
deformed uterus.
It looks like a giant penis. That's what it looks like. So
Florida, America's Wang.
yeah, well, yeah.
That's Florida.
Yep, that is Florida, America's Wang.
Dear.
What's Maine? What's because I don't know.
What is Maine? I don't know. It's just like America's nose. I don't know.
I don't know, cause like I saw a Patton Oswalt comedy skit where he basically made fun of Florida
Phil.
on his dick.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Is that Jesse J?
I really like the joke
Mitchell.
of the gulf of this is what we're getting instead of lower grocery prices.
Shared that, by the way.
Hello, Jamie J.
Trump is unironically Calvin from this Calvin and Hobbes strip.
Can we see it? Hey, Mithril.
I couldn't share it, but it's on the screen now. Um,
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
the punchline is what we're
Hello.
going for here. I pragmatically turn my whims into principles. And that's Trump.
Yes.
Whatever
Yes,
he
no,
believes
no.
in the moment, he believes 100% until he no longer believes it.
Yes.
But
yes.
it's
there's-
also just right wing like politic strategy in general now. It's like
True.
it doesn't matter.
Trump
to
is
a
an
lot of these
accidental
Trump supporters.
fascist.
Yeah,
Yes.
like it doesn't even matter that like we said about a grocery price. It doesn't matter that he's going to make it all worse. They just need to feel like, oh, the left is losing, therefore we're winning. Therefore, even if everyone's miserable, we're less miserable because of some proportion that we're on the winning side. Like it is just a cult now at this point, with consequences of
Yes.
fascism for everyone else.
But
I
I
mean,
have
do you actually think he's serious about the Greenland and the Panama things? And
Well,
It
Canada?
depends, doesn't it? It's like if it's politically available, then yes. If not, then I'll move on to the next thing. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, it's
it's like posturing, saying, "Yeah, we're America. We're gonna, take these lands for ourselves." And if not, then we'll just move on to the
Yeah.
next news cycle and do the same.
what's kind of like do it like will Americans fight a war against Greenland like that like
Yes.
Or
like
Denmark.
there's not
Also, yes.
a lot of fights to be had, to be honest.
Mhm.
We're 5 million people. Our military is really small, and even with the rest of Europe, what
Yeah, but I think
France-
NATO would step in to stop an evil empire from trying to conquer Denmark.
that's what I mean.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but even-
probably not. They haven't stepped in to stop an evil empire from conquering Palestine.
Yeah, it's also just like I keep getting reminded of a Danish politician who once said that we should cut our military budget and just have an answering machine saying we surrender. And
Lord.
of course, this is because he was a small government libertarian, because he didn't believe that we could fight an invasion anyway. But it's a bit scary, because then it's just like it's a bit scary being a small country being essentially threatened by a bigger country.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest losers in all of this is the people of Greenland, which is like the ones we should be talking about, because this is, they have been under Denmark for many, many years, and we are in the process of getting their own independence, which I fully condone. But it's just like, it's a bit gross the way people are talking about it. I really don't like it. It's really gross.
Us people aren't talking about it because I can.
No, but I've just
It would be very nice, like a silver lining to the whole thing, if somehow this expedites that that particular push for the sovereignty of the people of Greenland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were we not already on the way to get were we not about to have a referendum or in the extremely near future before?
They're about to have a vote for their government, but it's like 60% of the population of Greenland wants independence from Denmark, but that is not what the election is about. They're about to elect a new ministers and maybe a new sort of head of their government. It's not a prime minister.
That's a tiny person.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like.
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much think if we went to war against Greenland, some dumb reason, I feel like there'll be like riots in this country.
Just tell them that mid-November through to about late February is a really good time to mount an invasion in Greenland. They'll do great.
Yeah.
I mean,
pack your shorts.
Nazi-
They've got hot springs.
I mean, the
If
Nazis and like Napoleon did not learn that lesson when attacking in Russia. You got to like if you're going to a massive invasion in Russia, wait for spring.
Yeah.
Never get involved in a land war with Asia.
Yes.
Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
Yes, but like, do not let your opponent pick your poison, as it were, too, because like, why would they pick a poison that like they don't have immunity
Never
to?
let anybody else pick the game you're playing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also true that the wildfires were caused by wokeness. Did you guys hear
Oh
that?
God.
Oh,
Yeah.
so many.
They
so
should
many
have raped the
things.
forest.
It was because of the protection of the Delta smelt, which is a small fish, but is localized as a species to one particular river delta. I can't remember which. And unfortunately, it has a pretty piss poor breeding cycle, which means it reproduces really slowly. So, if we want to keep this thing extant, we've got to preserve it. But I mean, this was nothing. I suspect it might have been more to do with the fact that one family owns about 85% of the water resources in California.
Yep.
Yeah, and also just the massive scale of these fires. It's just like it looks like that scene from Terminator 2. You know, where they get blasted by
Yeah.
And it's just like I don't think Trump has any sort of concept of how big the fire is. I don't think he can think like that, or maybe he just ignores it.
No, he only thinks in terms of floor space. So
Yeah,
if you told him it was several million meters of floor space, then he might work it out, But up until then, his limited brain can't handle anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that is like a problem amongst like most of us when it's just like it's so hard for us to like understand big numbers just in general. So it's like
just use scientific notation. It is 10 to the wait. Damn it, it's 10 to the 20th power. There you go.
Yes, as easy as that. I was told there's not
The
going to be any math.
number of stars in the universe maybe is 10 to the 22, so that's like 10 with 20 zeros at the end. I realize
Yes.
it because I like science and shit, so big numbers scare me. I like big numbers and I cannot lie.
Well, yes, it's like but so yeah, the California fires, yes, there is one family that owns like 80% of like the water resources in California because they're the biggest like farmers in like California of like many different like things, but like also pistachios, and I was like eating a lot of pistachios, and it's just like damn it, I feel guilty for eating pistachios. No, let's go production on the capitalism though. We gotta remember that. But like yeah, and like yes, and so like a lot of water resources are held privately as well too. Maybe we should try some kind of like giving the land back up to traditional stewards or something like that. Yes, I agree. Like Jamie J, that's part of the problem. It's also really also why this like the fires in Los Angeles has been going widespread over this area because it used to be a lot of forces there, but instead now it's just like development, just like for development for people's houses, that's where too, just like constant development, and it's just like the reason why we got these problems with like raccoons or like other like vermins.
Raccoons are not a problem.
No.
Yeah.
They're just little guys.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The ethical consumption under capitalism is ass. I can see that, Comrade iBot. I can see that.
You can get rid of all words apart from the last three, and that sentence is still true.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, so it's crazy out there with with the fires. I have a friend of mine who lives in California and she lives in San Diego, but yeah, it got so bad that it almost got to JPL, you know. Oh, that so.
JPO?
It's scary, isn't it? Because
Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It's like where NASA does all their space missions at.
Oh, I see.
No.
like
Well, it's where they do a
it's
lot of research
scary
and
because
construction.
Yeah.
Yes.
like the we've had like obviously nothing compared to what's going on in
Hello?
California at the moment.
Did we
I
lose
always
him
feel
or did
bad
my
talking
earbuds
about.
go
I think
out?
I've said this before. Sorry.
So we can hear you, John. So it's like
No,
if
I
you
just couldn't hear Owen there. I was wondering if
Oh,
because
can you
I
hear
can
me
hear you
now?
now, but just could you all hear him, and could the
Yeah.
audience
Yes.
hear him?
Yeah.
I don't think there was any buffering on the stream as well too. So like maybe
Well, no,
the-
it's just
just
these earbuds are old, and I'm worried. I just
Ah,
yeah, I don't know where the fault was. I'm going to
Yeah.
blame
Okay.
capitalism.
yes.
I mean,
I blame everything on
Always a fair
capitalism.
target for it.
it's there's definitely a thing to be said for planned obsolescence that might
Yes.
well be a large part of why your earbuds are failing.
Well,
Yes.
they are pretty goddamn old. But everyone can hear Owen.
Jamie in the
assist me.
chat says they've heard me. So
Yes.
okay. So what I was saying was just firstly, obviously complaining about British weather seems a bit obsolete in comparison to the sort of things we're seeing in California at the moment. But there is a similar sort of theme in the lack of funding for
Oh yeah,
climate change responses,
it's
infrastructure.
almost like between climate change stuff and austerity for containing that sort of thing, that we're going to have a once in a lifetime wildfire every what 1-2 years now. We
Yeah.
had one up in
Yes.
up
Yeah.
closer to where Geek was not too long ago. We had
Yeah.
Canada, like
Mhm.
a large portion of it, wildfires there like the year before.
Brush fires in like Australia.
Yeah.
Our wildfires tend to be moorland fires
Yeah.
on peat because the peat bogs have been pretty well drained, so there's no standing water up there.
It's also like all this green stuff has made me think that instead of it being naivety on the part of capitalists to deny climate change, they're speculating in it because when the ice melts on Greenland, they're going to have access to a lot of natural resources.
Yeah.
And I kind of think they're speculating in that.
Yeah.
Which is dumb
yeah.
as hell, because who are they going to sell to if everyone dies? But it's just like,
no one ever said these people were smart, so
yeah. No,
It's the logical fallacy of capitalism, isn't it? You can't endlessly produce and endlessly make profit. And yet, because they're so, as you say, Eli, like they're so hardwired into, where's our next business venture? Where's our next money-making scheme? All they can do is consume, produce, burn up fuels, destroy the planet.
yeah.
And it's so sinister to me that they're planning on the ice sheets and Greenland melting. It's horrible. Yeah.
I mean, I studied geology for a while, and it's rare earth metals, uranium under there, and there are quite large oil and gas reserves as well, which of course will make the situation even bloody worse.
Not to mention the. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
They really don't care is the problem. They just do not give a damn anymore.
And all I was going to say was like not to mention the additional health problems that are associated, like the economic devastation it's going to do to displace millions of people, the health consequence, like these bushfires. What's the consequence of inhaling just tons of just churned up smoke and fumes into the
Lots
air?
and lots of lung damage.
Like, exactly right. And like all the kids who have their routines just wrecked through like having to be moved. The fact that there's no like the capacity to take out carbon dioxide from the air from trees is lost if you burn loads of them.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it's California, so it's nothing but gays and Jews and Democrats. So
yeah,
Oh, and by Jews we mean Jews we don't like, not Jews that we're trying to massacre a whole group of people because we think Jesus likes them. So
yeah, Hollywood Jews, not
Interestingly,
Israel Jews.
right, yeah.
interestingly, I read recently about a certain church that had advised its religious leaders and pastors and such to just not teach about Jesus and not teach about some of the stuff in the New Testament because they were worried it clashed with some of their other conservative leanings.
Yep.
Like when people talk,
What?
which is
Love your
staggering, right?
neighbor, for I was a stranger and you took me in. Yeah.
Nah,
Focus
don't
on the
think
bits
so.
where God wades through rivers of blood.
Well, I mean, I've said to you guys before,
Oh.
my dad was a vicar in the Church of England, and several times he had parishioners storm out of his sermons saying, I'm not come here to listen to this Marxist rubbish that you're talking.
I'm gonna go vote for Maggie.
Yeah.
Why would they be mad at a guy that decided to kick money changers out of a church? And you know, what policy would they, or what stuff would they have against somebody who,
He
like,
provided
one of
free
their most
healthcare.
famous
That's obviously
things
evil.
was to give up all your wealth? That and follow me,
Yeah.
the only it is
Honestly,
more
it was-
likely for a camel to fit through the eye of a
But
needle.
actually, there's this gate that was only this tall, so you couldn't ride your camera through it, and the camera had
Oh.
to get on its knees, so it had to be humble before God.
I've
They actually
Okay,
believed that shit.
Precious.
Why does he sound?
And it was called the Eye of the Needle. They actually believed that
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, they twisted
there
something.
was a
else.
gate. There was a gate in Jerusalem called the Eye of the Needle, wasn't it? I've heard that one a few times. But what
Because
are
it's
you
not, it's as
gibbering?
with all like fascists, it's not they don't have any sincere belief in it. It's just what they need to do to justify
Well,
their
actually, this is
plans.
my friend Jeremy back in high school. So he wasn't a fascist. He was just an ignorant kid.
Mhm.
And nowadays he's a computer engineer, so he's probably a fascist.
No, yeah. Because
Yeah.
it's
But like
like
what was being said about you know, sort of you were saying there about the Jewish sort of the type of Jew that certain right-wing people will like hold up and revere and then in the same breath criticize other Jewish people. Like none of it is of some you know like genuine
No.
religious. Well, I mean maybe it is
There's
some
no
religious,
integrity
like, it's
there.
not-
There's no honesty.
exactly. It's no
There's no true
integrity. It's
belief.
not.
Did you
Yeah.
get? Oh, with
Christianity is
all
just a label for the Republicans.
so with all this
Are you
doom,
down south, Owen?
so with all this doom,
Sorry,
Are you down south?
not currently, but I'm from
Ah.
well, born in London. I've lived south and north, but not currently.
Oh, whereabouts are you at the moment?
Sorry.
Dox him!
Where
Dox
are
him!
you?
Dox him!
No, oh come on, fuck off, John. A decent-sized town in the area is or city.
I am in Yorkshire currently.
All right, okay. Boo the enemy.
Oh, so are you Lancashire then?
I'm pure Lancastrian all the way through. Yeah.
War for Roses. So I know we're that places us, where it's not of geographic knowledge of the UK. We're both from the north of England. Though strangely, it not really that far north in Britain. I mean, you forget how big
No.
Scotland is sometimes, I suppose.
I lived in Scotland for a while and I had to remember to stop saying, oh yeah, I'm a northerner. Because it means something completely different there.
But interestingly, again, we forget sometimes how big America is compared to Britain. Like
Yes.
I was,
God, yeah.
Yeah, for
Look-
you, a
yeah, looking
half-hour
at-
drive is long. For us, that's a commute to work.
Yeah.
Well, you are a nation of cars, sadly, which is another problem as well. The nature of the capitalist economy has sort of contributed in itself to the climate change issue because everyone has to just even to get to work, like consume so much energy.
Mhm.
And also a lot of space has to be donated to parking, and
Mhm.
voting
there's
highways.
so much that the car culture that is just like even antithetical to what do you call it? Having enough people in a space to do all of the work necessary for that space.
Mhm.
But if
Yeah.
you,
Ooh,
but if,
who's the
but if
Oh,
you,
it's you go ahead. Sorry, as I'm
Oh,
excited by a football logo.
Now I was saying, but if you criticize it, but if you criticize any of that, you're seen as like anti-American.
Capitalism as ideology and
Yeah.
as cult almost. Oh no, I've just been excited by I should call it a soccer logo, shouldn't I, for the American audience?
Well, you don't understand what you mean when you say football, because that's actually foot and that's actually ball. While what the Americans call football is actually hand egg, because that is a hand and that's an egg.
But no,
You
I
actually
take it
kick
that's
the
your leaning
ball
then.
in American
Sorry, Eli?
football. Do you actually kick the ball in American football?
Only occasionally, only the kicker and the punter. All right, so it's like only like 5% or 10% of the times throughout the whole course of American football. But the rest of the times it's like pass or like thrown with a hand and carried, and that's it.
Most of it's just adverts though. Most of it's just like an excuse to it'd be like the Gatorade sponsored interval, and then you'll have like a 5 minute advert break, and then the next play will be like one throw. So I'm probably
No,
offending. So someone probably likes American football. Yeah,
oh no, we don't care. Honestly. But honestly, the
Yeah.
advertisement like a sport is NASCAR, because it is the Sprite car versus the McDonald's car versus like the like Albertsons car.
Yes,
and we
it
can't
is
say.
more like rugby. You're right.
I agree. Yeah.
And we can't say too much as well because I think most sports these days are utter commercial vehicles. I mean
Oh
the
God.
state of association football soccer in our country at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as though capitalism is a scourge.
Oh,
I agree.
it's so fun to actually hear somebody refer to what do you call it? Football as association football, which is like the etymology of the term soccer.
Yeah.
No, I mean I've got more patience for international things like that. And like I'm not someone who's going to be like, oh, it's football and nothing else, and, and kick off about it as such. But no, it's there's the sociology of sport is really interesting to me as well, like the way that all goes. So you know it's always very interesting.
It's so funny. Where I live, there are a lot of houses around me, and in the summer when they're playing all the games, you can hear when Denmark is playing and we're winning, everyone is cheering, and then everything just goes silent when when the other team makes a goal, or there's like oh no sound. So funny that you can hear how the game is going even if you're not watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only watch football now, especially if it's like the Kansas City Chiefs, because I just want to know, because apparently the most richest female celebrity in the world married the quarterback, so I guess I gotta give a damn now, right?
That Taylor Swift and
No, because
culture.
that means that football has officially gone woke and is no longer the sport of rednecks.
I believe
in the beginning, I was like, I say, why are you watching Kansas City? Shouldn't you be watching teams in Florida?
Oh, I mean, well, our Florida teams kind of suck. So here in Tallahassee, we have Florida State University, the Seminoles. That's what they call themselves. So don't get mad at me, Joey. Don't get mad. No, and they actually lost all but 2 of their games last season. So I didn't give a shit because I don't care about football, but it was pretty rough.
What's your sport of choice? Is there?
Me? I don't really care for sports that much. I'm one of those few Americans that doesn't really give a shit. I'm like Steve Shives. Like don't get me like I'll watch the Super Bowl just because it's the Super Bowl. Well, other than that, I don't really care much for sports. It's although as someone who is autistic, I will say sports, especially football. Football is America's autism because it is something Americans cannot stop talking about. They can't stop talking about it. They can cite little details about players and shit. So yeah, it's America's autism.
You say that because you haven't like had serious sit down conversation with baseball fans. Baseball fans are so much worse on that because it's so easy to track the stats in that. There's so much going on in a random football down.
Field?
I was like, what's the
Yeah.
word? That you can't track all of it. But
Yeah.
baseball is one thing happening at a time.
Yes.
So like everything, if you watch a game, like even if it's like the most boring game, every
Yes.
single pitch is like the first time a thing happened because they track all of it.
Yes.
Sounds like cricket and over in England.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I agree, JBJ. Yeah, bring up baseball with Steve Shives, and you will see that, like, Steve Shives, like, I know how problematic to say this is, but this is true. He will get very autistic about, like, baseball as well, too, because, like, no, baseball is, like, that kind of passion for, like, some people and special interests of some people, and, like, baseball is the most nerdiest, like, sport in, like, America because of how stat-oriented it is as well, too.
Surely it's true for every country and every sport is going to have like some dedicated groups. Like, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, even stuff that is just competitive but not sport. What do you call it? I've like hung out with people that like got super into the players and stats and followed the what do you call it? I forget what it was even called, the poker thing back when that was bigger.
Oh yeah.
I played a lot
Texas
of poker.
Hold'em.
Hey Owen.
Well,
Championship.
the British press has been going absolutely wild over the fact that was he 17-year-old won the
Littler, my
World
goodness.
Darts Championship. It's like, this is a pub game.
It's supposed to be won by a chunky 50-year-old white man.
No,
it used to be. Yeah.
Isaiah, I can hear you.
Yeah, see, the difference here in America, as someone who lives in the South, I don't know if they do this in England, but do you guys pray before you guys do rugby? Because that's what we
No, generally speaking, no.
Do your football players get down on one knee and thank God after they score a goal?
Well, it's interestingly, I mean, I obviously America's a much more religious country than America, but I think it is seen in some places. Like you get some sports professionals who will thank various religious deities for stuff. But yeah, I get your point.
But it's not done as public spectacle generally.
It's very cringe because it's like the God of the universe is just like this motherfucker has nothing better to do but to just sit here and watch you fucking
you do wonder as well if both teams are praying, surely God's
also, I'm like, okay, so if the other team doesn't win, did they have a gay football player on the other team?
I don't know where the quote comes from, but there is a quote, an old one. Something about God favouring the small battalions. I suspect it's an old British war quote. And I'm afraid to say, as a Man City supporter, I don't think that's quite correct, since we're insanely rich at the moment. But,
we'll have to have a conversation at some point about Man City, Mithril.
There's a
hate
really
what City have become. Don't worry about that.
There's a really fun montage in Bruce Almighty where he answers all of the prayers and like the lottery gets split like 100,000 ways and every sports game ends in a tie.
But see, like I would always just like I would probably like ask God, can I like, I don't know, like, you know me, like I'm like I don't like, can I like work in like a museum? Like there's, I don't know, like
Why not?
Yeah, I would ask, why not? I don't know. It's weird. I just think it's bizarre that people do that because it's like, I'm sure God could do other stuff than help you win a game. I don't.
Of course.
I think a lot of it's entitlement. I think a lot of it's
I suppose as well, sometimes like to look at like from a philosophical point of view and sort of theological point of view, some religious people would say that whilst people pray to God to help them with their things, they're not sort of expecting God to answer them at the moment. They're sort of just calling upon their faith to do the best they can, and they would argue that the human world is for humans to have, and then God like exists on a different plane.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there are people who say that God answers every prayer with yes, no, or later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meaning
Right.
God's a magic 8-ball, and you always
Yes.
I was thinking the same thing.
I never understood why there needed to be a try again later on a magic 8-ball.
Because fuck you. That's
I just think a lot of things we do in our country is it's unnecessary spectacle. It's to make everyone feel good about themselves. I mean, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. I like
it's a
visuals,
distraction from the horrors of capitalism.
right?
Yeah.
I like visuals too. But like for example, right. I'll give you an example. So when COVID hit and we were saluting all the medical staff.
Mhm.
They decided here at the hospital where I live to fly two A-10 attack, the Warhogs, the airplanes. And I'm like, you couldn't. I'm like, first of all, that's probably not really necessary. And then B, I'm like, you couldn't have like found like a Coast Guard thing.
Yeah.
Why
did you need to get a fucking a tank kit? Like what? What?
I mean, they're
It,
more
it's
well
it,
known
that
for
was
putting people in hospital rather than
Yeah.
helping them out.
Plus, it's such a like when you think about it, so it's like the resources wasted on that. Like,
Mhm.
and it's also like you say, performative too, because these same
Wow.
like politicians and executives loves just cutting any money for any like public
Yeah.
service. In fact, in
Oh,
America, they don't even believe in like public healthcare and stuff, and healthcare for
Or
all.
or I'll give you this, and I'm sorry to cut you guys off, but like you have all these rich assholes in LA complaining about why the fire department wasn't here, but I'm like, these are the same rich assholes who want their taxes cut. So I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, well you can't get the best fire department without having some good taxes. This shit isn't free. Which one do you fucking want? Do you want a good fire department or do you want taxes? Which one do you want?
But
You can't have both, idiot.
didn't it actually come out that they were funded and they are doing their best? It's just that the fires are so big that they're overwhelmed. I don't think it's underfunded.
It's like
Yeah.
it's a yes and no thing, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
Mhm.
all American states are under a capitalist system of constantly having to justify themselves to some business-minded
Yeah.
government.
Yeah.
However, a Democrat state like California does manage its functioning like services and emergency departments better than say Texas, Missouri,
No,
Mississippi.
Owen. No, Owen. That's not true. Everything it's bad because everything is woke.
Yeah.
There are no men in charge. That's why things are fucking up.
Yeah, it's Californianism, as in like the colonists in Californianism is just like, but like the problem with like the fire departments in like California is we knew this before from previous firefighters, and it's been well stated, and we can thank
Oh,
Kamal Harris in part for this. So the firefighting force, as part of it, are inmates who are barely
Yeah.
paid any like things to like fight fires as well too, because
And they don't have a
can't
choice.
get a job in a fire department when they get out either, which is fucked up.
yeah. Oh, did you see the thing that's yesterday morning, yesterday evening, where I mean, for all the criticism of him, Hassan Abbey went out and talked to the actual prisoners who were doing the fire service stuff, trying to humanize them for people rather than the usual demonizing them, which is what the American press do and British press.
Well,
Yeah.
prisoners and prison is
Yeah,
such
it's
another minefield of a topic, isn't it? Because
Mm.
our capitalist in right-wing media portray oh, you're a prisoner, so you must be the worst scum of the earth
Yeah.
every time, and
No, the
not.
worst scum is in office. The worst scum are I can't believe it. I just it boggles my mind that he got elected again. But then again, the really
America.
yeah,
This is America. Ellie, Americans are dumb. I don't know if you didn't get the message.
I
See,
mean,
yeah, but
even
so
with
much
that
to
though,
believe.
even with that, it was so. Sorry, like go ahead.
No, it's just like I speak to some of you who are from the States, and I don't think you're that dumb, but it's just like like the I try to have some faith in humanity, even though I know that there are a lot of people who just vote for their own interest and then don't look at the bigger picture that happens all over the world, but it's just more dire in the US because it's a two-party system.
And
But
there's
it's a
definitely something about people being too tired and disengaged with it as well. It's definitely not a United States thing only as well.
mm,
This past 2 to 3 years has been just a slaughter for incumbents
Mm,
because the recovery from COVID has been slow and it has been rough. And there have been like so many leaders decided the austerity path or at very least the slow recovery path that didn't, tax the wealthy as much
mhm,
as they should have. The wealthy that got so much money
Mhm.
profiting from the emergency powers that were used to help lock down and contain COVID as much as we actually did try. And like I get somebody who doesn't follow this as much as I do, just thinking, well, you know, t times are hard, and the guy in charge is the is the person who caused the problem. When it's like, yeah, kinda, but at the
Mhm.
same time, maybe the guy in charge just isn't doing as much as they could to
Mhm.
fix it, and the other guy that wants to be in charge actually caused a lot of the problems that
Yep.
made the situation untenable for the guy that's in charge right now.
Mhm.
And I mean,
yeah.
regardless of the situation with Biden, he actually has left the US the fastest growing
Yeah,
country
yeah, like
in the G7.
every other economy that was hit as bad from from COVID,
Oh,
and every place that didn't actually improve
I know.
because they took sensible precautions. And like there's a few states that what do you call it? I think South Korea, uh Vietnam, and
A little bit
New
home in
Zealand
California.
actually seemed to spring up much faster than we did because of good precautions. But like a lot of other places that didn't are doing so much worse than the United States did because the Biden administration actually did do things to improve things and didn't fall back on austerity like uh, Britain did and France did, and
Mm, yeah.
It's a mix of all those things, isn't it? You've got um, the rubbish conditions that capitalism naturally puts about makes for gradual worseness in a
oh
right-wing
yeah.
economy. You've got failing liberal parties and neoliberal parties basically clinging to austerity and we've got to do things the right way and we can't go too left otherwise we'll lose the voters and then losing elections. You've got the bad, flawed, awful versions of democracy that basically stop. Like to me, it's so like if you have a voting system where more people don't vote than do,
Mhm.
then that should tell you something's very wrong. That's not a democracy. And
Mm.
yet, every American election, the Republicans have swept to victory with less than 25%
37%,
of
what was it?
voters.
36% or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, what he got like 80 million votes. America has
Mhm.
about 340 million people in it. So
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but that's not a majority in my book.
And,
Um,
and and then, like it's always the presidential elections that has the highest turnout of all the elections. We always have midterms. There's elections every year. There's special
yeah.
elections like on off years as well too. But those always get, but the midterms always get far less than the presidential like elections. And like the every other elections that not midterms or presidential always get far, 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 far less as well too.
And
And
even like ignoring the fact that, yeah, sure, he got a lot of votes, but some people who voted for him, it's not as though, like, of course, they all, deserve varying degrees of judgment and criticism and stuff.
Mhm.
But some of them very clearly have been addled somewhat by media influences. Some of them literally only see like, the Democrats caused COVID every day, all the time. Like it's not as though,
Hmm.
like to me, a big problem as well is how voting is like seen as the only political action like one can do. There's no when it comes when Trump makes some of his decisions and it trashes people's lives, there's going to be quite a lot of people who think, yeah, it's pretty bad that I have no insurance for my healthcare and I can't afford any of the things I need to survive. And Trump has handed all the power over to my landlord to basically do what he wants with property. Like there's so many fundamental problems in society, basically caused because it's a capitalist society, that all sort of feed and link to each other. There's not like one. When I see these like opinion pieces saying, "Oh, this is why Trump won," it's like there's a network of things that contribute to why a extremely right-wing party that's unpopular and bad can still win and then have full control of government. Like it's a network of things which ultimately come back to the same sort of capitalist roots.
Also
can I ask
violence.
a question about if Trump wants to invade another country and the military refuses, would that constitute a coup?
Yes.
Because they're sworn.
He's the commander in chief. He has the
Yeah.
authority to direct them, and it wouldn't constitute a coup if they refused. It would constitute insubordination. It would still
Depends
be
on how many are insubordinate, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lovely idea, isn't it, of them just saying, no, we're not going to do that. However, you might, to play devil's advocate, you could be someone in the army might say, well, if the shoe was on the other foot, and let's say, I don't know, Biden had said something similar, or Biden had said, no, we're not going to do this, and various people in the army were like, no, we are going to do it. You can imagine how things might deteriorate from there. I feel like it's a very tricky. I read a paper recently actually on people in the civil service and in various sort of state jobs who were in a bit of a conflict because of the conflict between their sort of loyalty to their post and maintaining some sort of normality and still keeping their jobs because obviously they've got to eat as well. Next to actually, what can I do to resist awful policies which I know are bad and going to fail? What can I do to say, actually, I'm not going to just sit here and enact Trump's vision for America? And I feel like that's going to be quite a big theme because for as much as, I mean, I'm not completely ruling out because unfortunately there is a chance of things getting much, much worse. But I feel like one of the big, certainly the next few years, big like issues, maybe just how the existing infrastructure of America and other European nations too that are at risk of fascist control are going to interact with extremely right-wing people coming in and saying, no, we're not going to have a welfare system anymore in our state. We're just going to get rid of disability checks. We're going to just stop all healthcare protections. You have to go through it privately or nothing at all. Like how people are going to manage that. And I think there's an opportunity for there to be serious organization that doesn't actually obviously it's going to take effort, but people imagine a sort of binary between complete submission versus everyone's in the streets with a gun marching into the White House and like personally taking Trump out. Like it could be as simple as just like not putting into place the things that Trump and his lackeys, put in. Because ultimately, as bleak as things seem and as terrible as things are, there are more people who are disdained and unhappy with the current situation than are. And with a little bit of organization, there's nothing to say that things can't be resisted. In terms of the army, I feel like it's a little bit interesting because unfortunately there are quite a lot of military types who are quite keen to enact an America first. We basically get what we want policy. I think that's why it's important. People like if there's firm resistance against this Greenland thing, and if there's going to be some consequence internally and externally, then I feel like like if it's too much hassle, part of the Trump team might just be like, okay, right, we're moving on to the next item. And obviously that's not good because it's like, they're probably they'll switch from Greenland to like some trans issue, or they'll switch from Greenland to an environmental issue. And obviously that's not good, but it's like a spinning carousel. Keep the plate spinning and they can't lock in on something.
Exactly.
If they're able to lock in, then it's like yeah.
It's like the only silver lining to this whole thing is just the need for personal loyalty that he seems to have might be enough to mitigate some of the worst losses, because the sort of people who would be loyal to that are also probably not the sort of people that are good at getting things done, organizing and uh, forming against the resistances, which is why when you actually like look at things like Project 25 or 2025, it's scary because it's organized, it's well thought out how to actually strip the wheels of democracy.
I mean, I think the thing to do with Trump is laugh at him, is to mock him, because he gets very angry about that.
Still, it's a bit like, from my point of view, living in a small country that has sort of not maybe directly been threatened, but Trump did say he would rule out military action. I have a hard time I had a hard time just fully laughing at it, because it's like we have Russia, like on the other side of the Baltic Sea, and then we have the US, and that's a bit sort of like shit. That's not nice. It's not
scary, isn't it? I agree, Eli. It's got to be more than just laughing. Isaiah, did you
No, I was saying, I think the problem with people like Trump is that he just has such a huge ego that it's just gonna. I feel like whatever he does, it's like his ego is just way too big, and it's just gonna cause so many conflicts with like the people he works with. So
I mean, that's the hope, isn't it? That there'll be enough conflict that they effectively won't get anything done, because they keep arguing and stacking each other, and there's so much backstabbing going on that it makes Brutus's killing of Caesar look like an absolute bloody picnic,
but like Eli says, it is a pretty dismal prospect to be the person in the crosshair of potential action. Like even if nothing comes of any of the things Trump promises, to know that people in office are right now plotting how to do it and want to do it is a scary thought. Which is why it's so crucial to be loud and uncivil. What's the word? Disobedience, civil and uncivil disobedience. Like, be in the system, making things take longer, be outside the system, making things, any action that makes it harder to implement a right-wing policy is good, basically. And like the Democrats should be doing like what the Republicans did for years, just wasting time, not turning up to meetings, making life just a misery. Like, and then saying afterwards, oh well, it's just part of the process. Because
and that's what I often don't understand about the Democrats. It's just like, why are you always so by the book? Why can't you just do some civil disobedience every once in a while? Because it would really.
I feel like
because that's disruptive, and we like things to be nice.
Well, it's this stupid, Michelle Obama thing about, when they go low, we must go high. Nah, stuff that. When they go low, kick them in the fork. Forget that.
We should, but I think the reason why we don't is because people they'll just accuse us of being radical, and we
But
won't.
they do that anyway, Eli. They do that anyway, Isaiah.
You gotta remember, people are more okay with radical right wingers than radical left wingers. So
I mean, for goodness sake, they were calling Biden a communist. For God's sake,
Yeah, they'll do that for anyone. But if you're to the left of them and you are a communist, even if they are already, practically Nazis. But it's Bordeaux's theory of cultural capital, isn't it? Because they have control of what is deemed culturally sensible and what's normal and stuff. For you to call out someone being bad and horrible is worse than them being bad and horrible if it's not done correctly, i.e. said. Like, it's like it's ruder to shout at the table than to make a rude comment about someone else at the table, just spoken normally. Hence, the dozens of families across America who will reject someone for being LGBTQ, but not the scumbag bigot in the family who I don't know
It is.
brings up the trans issue every single time there's like a dinner or something.
It's ruder to complain about your uncle who disowned his trans child than it is to actually disown your trans child.
You can just see the Danish reaction to the Greenlandic people talking about the atrocities that Denmark did to them. My mother, last time I spoke to her, she was so appalled that the Greenlandic people dared complain that they had been forcefully sterilized, and they dared to call it a genocide, which is like, and I tried to explain to her mom that is what it is when you forcefully sterilize people. That is part of a genocide, but it was just like she just wouldn't listen to it, because she said, "Oh, but people get sterilized by their own accord all the time," and it's just like, yeah, but it's not done against their will.
It's the forced part that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the nationalism, the which I think every nation is ultimately, but to sort of be a little bit well, it's not even anarchism, it's just a truth, isn't it? Every nation is the product of warfare and atrocity and some injustice along the line. And when you point that out to people, because of the way power works and how power manifests itself through media and education and such, there is some internal resistance. It's like when a lot of people in Britain, as I'm sure you'll testify to, Mithril, if you say about the British Empire, actually Britain is wealthy because of centuries of looting, purging, basically making the world a worse place. Like there's a big resistance to it. It's like, oh, how dare you
against it,
yeah. And you only have to look at even just basic things.
You want to know how Britain's so wealthy? Just go to the British Museum.
my
how many British artifacts are there compared to the rest of the world?
Well, I remember when you make the rest of the world Britain, as the Empire did.
I remember in the mid-80s with sat with my granddad watching there were riots in Soweto, I think it was, and he was a lifelong lefty, strong union man, all the rest of it. I don't see what they're protesting about. Us whites did them all right. Look at all the good things we brought to them.
And that's what the importance of intersectionality there. Yeah?
They have a really great Independence Day because of us.
It was.
I just thought about the whole thing about the Mandela effect. I have always found it really weird that people don't remember Nelson Mandela getting freed. It was a huge thing in the news, and it's just like, is it because people are too young to remember this, and they just repeat what people have said about one person's experience of thinking that Nelson Mandela died in prison, or is it that Americans generally didn't pay attention to it?
Makes it both, isn't it? I mean, people so much.
No, the universe must be wrong.
Because it was a really big thing.
The von Mises approach.
Yeah, it was just.
You're right, Alice, about Greenland and the Faroe Islands.
Yeah. What about the Faroe Islands?
Well, I mean, the Faroe Islands has got its own problematic behaviour as well, but she's saying that it's just tourism and fisheries really at the moment,
Yeah, it is, but
because didn't the Danes consult with the Greenlanders about the mineral extraction, and they came to a conclusion that probably not a good thing.
Yeah, I think they did, because it is like, it would destroy so many. It would destroy nature. It would destroy people's lives, and also there was a big, Americans had a military base on Greenland, and there was a huge scandal because it turned out that the Americans were not telling us, the Danish government, everything that was happening. So all of a sudden, a lot of Greenlandic people got really ill because they were spreading like like poisons, and like they got cancer, and it was
Weren't they discharging aviation fuel over Greenland
yeah,
as well? When the planes came in.
yeah, something like that. Something like that. It wasn't good. It was a huge scandal.
Yeah.
And 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 it's also like I don't know if you know that Trump is not the first president who wanted to buy America. That was Harry S. Truman in 1947. But he got rebuffed, and then he stopped putting pressure on Denmark to sell it. But they still got a military base built there. So it's also like America already has the access to protect, to have that defensive edge over Russia. They already have access to that. So the rest of it is just
Take care, Ibot.
access to Greenland's natural resources or something.
Basically,
I don't know.
I mean, we're basically a gang. I mean, we're a criminal organization on the state. That's all we are.
That's why the hip hop artist prop has like a podcast like a hood politics as well too, because like the politicians, they're not as smart as you too. If you survive middle school, you survive the ghetto, you survive the hood, then you can understand politics, because all politics is gang banging in night suits, and there's a dog.
Right. And also, and yeah, well, yeah. I mean, my dad always told, because my dad was in the army. He was actually in the Gulf War, the first one, and my dad told us not to join the service. So yeah, at the end of the day, I don't want to. I didn't join because of all the just
Imperialism.
it's yeah, imperialism. Fuck that. I
Yeah,
don't vote. Fuck it.
anyone who I know that isn't one of the biggest shitbags who has been part of the military suggest other people not join the military.
Yeah.
I almost joined the military. Like I got closer to joining the military than I should have. Bad recruiter, honestly. Telling me to lie, to not mention my egg allergy.
Oh, you'd have found bone spurs or something, mate.
I have a legitimate reason though, because like, hey, they couldn't give me the yellow fever vaccine because that vaccine is egg based. But now, like, I wouldn't want to join because like, don't want to kill black and brown people just so that like, oil companies can like make a increase in quarterly profit.
Yeah.
Uh,
There was a big uptick in the UK when after the Falklands of people joining up. Which meant it was people who in the generation, sort of my generation and a little bit below, but we have I mean, I don't know what it is in the States, but the first term you can sign up for is 7 years, and you can buy yourself out if you have to. So, you pay part of your salary to get out.
Yeah.
There are other ways of getting out.
Yeah, I will say they're like every service has different contracts, and they offer different contracts based on how much they want you to be in there and how long they want you to be in there. It's very complicated. I know a few people that have joined the Army, the Air Force, the Marines. I don't think I know anyone who joined the Navy.
I think the Navy is a very local thing, isn't it? Though it tends to be coastal.
It tends to be coastal.
Well, I mean, they get people from all over, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say, but the what do you call it? Both my friends that have what do you call it? Ended up going with the Marines, and my cousin who ended up going with the Air Force were also considering the Navy.
Is the Marines in the States a part of the Navy?
Yeah.
Or is it part of the Army? Because in the UK,
it's its own division.
I would say it's its own division. It originally spun off from the Navy wanting an army, and the Air Force spun off from the Navy as well.
What did you miss, Phoenix? You missed the talk us talk about the LA fires, Trump buying Greenland. We talked about that. Trump renaming Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Other conversations about like various different things as well too. Yeah, like Jamie J. That's a good point. The U.S. military coming in and knowingly hiding jet fuel leaks that poison local communities reminds me of what they did to Hawaii. They did a lot of things to Hawaii as well too, like just imprisoning their queen for like in the house arrest as well too. James Room's house allegedly burned down. Yeah. So it's just
Yeah.
like
Well, so there's some good news.
yeah,
Whose house?
I heard a lot.
James Wood
a lot of
He's a far right wing piece of shit.
Yeah.
I heard a lot
allegedly.
a lot of Zionists lost it.
Oh, and didn't Mel Gibson's house go up in
Yeah.
smoke as well?
Yeah, I was
I
about to
wish
bring that.
it didn't come with so many other innocent people.
Yeah, exactly. So many people lost their houses as well too, and to lose your house, you lose your home and stuff like that, then have to build back up. That like for some of the people like James Woods allegedly, Mel Gibson allegedly, they can rebuild and they lost some stuff, but they can rebuild their
Course.
rich and stuff like that. But like for everyone else, like especially working poor or something like that,
Yeah.
and also there's another thing that ties into this insurance. Many of those houses are not insured because like the insurance companies, as like Nekonomicon pointed out, that they know about like climate change and stuff like that, which is why like they are not going to insure some places, and those houses I don't know of how many of them were insured.
Okay.
And that sort of thing too. Yeah, like James Woods is a literal Disney villain. So when he was like playing Hades, he was not doing any acting like that. He was just being himself as well too, which he took anyway when he does acting as well too. But speaking of Hawaii, yes, the Bikini Ayatollah. Yeah, just research like what the fuck that like the U.S. government like did to like various different things.
U.S. Army
Yes,
finds the last place on Earth untouched by war, blows it to
yes,
Yeah.
yep, that's what they did.
Yeah.
Bikini Ayatollah. That David
Well,
Scott-
Sorry.
And then we named the bikini after it.
yes, we
I
did.
watched a YouTube video. It was about an hour long, I think, about the French nuclear testing and the sinking of the Greenpeace Rainbow Warrior in Auckland Harbour. And the French were even worse, possibly, than the Americans were in lots of ways. With that
France are hardly got a spotless record for world peace, have they, with history in Africa.
I mean,
but I was just thinking, America, you might argue the whole history of the nation is basically just one crime after another, given its conception.
Well, I mean, the great thing about U.S. law is that if you have a whole lot of crimes under one criminal conspiracy, you can charge them as a single crime. And that's the U.S. We're a crime.
Yes.
A 500-year crime.
Most of
Hello, David.
Western European history is about war and conquering other countries.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what most countries are.
Oh, don't forget the ongoing genocide of the Native Americans.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, and it's also like when I saw this a lot, people sort of making light of the whole Greenland thing, and it's just like it's really not funny because it's the same mechanism that they did to Native Americans and Native Canadians. So it's really not funny and not something you should joke about.
You're right, Tila. I mean, hopefully, if European nations get their act together and sort of say, well, no, you need to like shove off America because it's rights of indigenous people. Hopefully that it's tricky because for them to realize that would also probably mean realizing something about the way they've been many European nations have been conducting themselves for quite a long period of time, which ultimately, a lot of nations are quite right-wing themselves. I mean, I know Europe is ahead of America in a lot of ways, but we're hardly. I mean, Farage is knocking at the door quite loudly in our country.
You're not as far behind as the U.S.
Yeah, it's like one of those things. It's like, yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice if they could apologize and make amends for all the crimes they've done. But I mean, the first step can be just stop doing similar crimes.
But yeah, like Eli says, like it is, it's a thing happening in real time now. So I also wish it was not taken so lightly. No, it's I see. I feel like our to be this 300th episode. As much as I enjoyed it, it's like
We're
we're
talking
talking
about
about
current
like
events in the news, and it's all like there's not a lot of
crimes,
happy
climate
times.
catastrophe,
Yeah.
As
various
you were
human rights.
talking about sport earlier, though,
There was moments of we're talking about sports. Yes,
Um,
yes.
Or my models or
I,
something like
I
that.
I know it's
Exactly
not.
right.
I know it's not a true sport, but did you see the thing about Hulk Hogan getting booed?
I don't know what was like Hulk Hogan being booed
What
about.
is the context of this? I
Definitely
heard
not
Well,
of
true
it,
sport.
but not.
They've had this big rejig of
It was at the
the
World
Monday
Wrestling thing.
night wrestling thing,
Monday Night
WWE,
Raw.
whatever it's called. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Monday Night
Because
Raw.
it's now on Netflix, whereas before it was
Yes.
on something else.
TNT or something like
And-
that.
Yeah, and he came stomping out, expecting this hero's welcome,
Mhm.
and was roundly booed by pretty much a pretty large percentage of the audience.
Mhm.
And I think it was because of his unquestioning support of Trump.
Well,
Mhm.
on top of
How-
supporting
how
Trump,
is
he's
he-
also a massive scumbag anyway, isn't
Oh,
he?
yeah,
Completely
yeah.
a racist asshole.
Yes.
How is he still doing wrestling? How old is
He's
he?
not. He just showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing wrestling, which is to say he's cutting promos.
He is to wrestling what O.J. Simpson is to football.
Yeah. And
I
acting.
mean, he couldn't even manage
So a
his
criminal.
trademark ripping his t-shirt thing on the Trump rallies.
Mhm.
So, I mean, he's what, 75, 80, something like that now?
Something like that.
He's
Well,
something
almost
like
as
that.
old as Trump.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
It's but like it's like
He's 71 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
Up there in age. But it's just like I'm not surprised that like I kind of like was wondering how many like wrestlers are like pieces of shit of old wrestling times.
Not John
like
Cena.
Well, John Cena it's definitely not a piece of shit from what I can see. Actually,
Is he really old time though? Surely, when was
No,
Hogan
he's
wrestling?
new.
80s, 70s.
He
Yeah.
isn't.
Yeah.
Yes. But like again, like nowadays, the number of wrestlers that are pieces of shit versus the number of wrestlers that are like good, decent people, about the same as everyone else as well too.
Yeah, I guess
Probably.
They're all human.
I mean, the people that like held on to their jobs by like way longer than they should have by kissing this Vince McMahon's ass
Yes.
made
And his
it
ring.
so the amount of old timers that were pieces of shit was higher.
Yeah.
Well,
Because-
Hogan was like that because somebody, I can't remember who, was trying to organise a union to
Yes.
protect
Oh no, it's
wrestlers.
just
Jesse
body.
Ventura.
Yeah,
Ventura.
and Hogan basically went and grassed him up to
Mhm.
Vince McMahon, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. The Hulk Hogan like sold out the wrestlers like and alerted to Vince McMahon and the Jesse Ventura's plot to like try to like stage
He's
a
trying to be
walkout on,
friends
like-
with the black people.
No, there's that.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it was all because like Jesse the Body Ventura was in like the Predator, and like if like Carl Revers, Carl Revers, it's like
Carl Weathers.
Withers. Yes, if he won his bid to be like the governor of like Pennsylvania, then that movie would had like 3 future governors as well too, because of Arnold and like Jesse Bonaventura. But yeah, no, Jesse got like joined the Screen Actors Guild for doing Predators. So I'm like, oh my god, being the unit is awesome because you get benefits, you get health care, and it's just like you get protections for things too. Us wrestlers, we should do that too, as well too.
Mm-hmm.
And they were if they pulled it off, they would have made them do so because on WrestleMania 2, the Vince McMahon like bet the house on WrestleMania to be a big success, and it was a success, and then do WrestleMania 2. But there was still a chance if like the WrestleMania 2 failed, that was it for like WWE, WWF at the time as well too. But Hulk Hogan being a piece of shit, but also a kiss ass to Vince McMahon as well too, alerted to Vince McMahon about like Jesse Bonaventura's like plans as well too, and that's why wrestlers don't have like unions now, and why also Jesse Bonaventura stopped.
They're also
wrestling.
technically not employees.
They're independent contractors.
It's a really scummy way of getting out of things, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yes.
I know these guys, I know the matches are fixed. I understand that, I understand the storylines and everything. But you got to kind of admire their athleticism in a way, because some of the stuff they do is really, physically incredibly demanding, and yet they're just treated
Doing all
like,
that shit with minimal injuries is very impressive.
yes.
Yeah, it's like a lot of jobs that are connected to
they're
the sports thing
stuntmen.
where they just destroy themselves and most of the money goes to other people. But
they're effectively stuntmen in front-facing stuntmen.
Live action stuntmen.
Yes. Yeah. And with so many things can like easily go wrong and does go wrong as well too, including deaths. And like, hell yeah, Vince McMahon was very responsible for like one guy's death because like he cheaped on like the labor to like do the rigging as well too. That was the finale to the story of Behind the Bastards on Vince McMahon, because like Robert Evans led up to the death of like Owen Hart as well too, because like it was cheap.
He was also behind a lot of the steroid abuse that was going on at the time.
Oh
as
yes.
well.
Oh shoot, I
He
forget
was
his name.
deep into that,
The guy that between steroid use and CTE, the wrestler that ended up killing his family,
Chris
and then
Benoit.
himself.
Chris
Yeah,
Benoit.
Yeah, Chris Benoit. So it's somebody's.
it's not unreasonable to lay that entire group of bodies on Vince McMahon.
Oh yeah, agreed as well too. I still highly recommend the 6-parter on like Vince McMahon on Behind the Bastards, because like for sure he is a bastard. It's like, and almost everyone knew it from like before as well too. But it's just like, how much is bastardly in some of the bastardly in the Western industry.
The Department of Education.
No, yes, and Lyndon McMahon is back in the in the administration, or going to be in the future administration as well too, and Diana White.
No, now
she
you
knows
guys,
so much about education now.
now you guys know why. Now do you guys know why I don't want to have any kids now? I posted that.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. You posted like on Facebook as like, is it wrong for me to like, am I an asshole for not wanting to have kids? And it's like,
only
no,
according to Republicans, and they're Nazis, so they can burn.
Well, I mean, maybe not according to Republicans, because
I was
oh, right, yeah, the eugenics.
Abortions are fine as long as you're the mistress of a Republican.
Yes, exactly. They'll pay for your abortions as well too, to like keep it down.
The Republican Party platform: how to get your whites their whitest.
I was asking because like this world is a bit too shitty to have kids, and
there are a lot of reasons to be anti-natalist. Yeah,
it's
but we are 90 minutes in.
A better place, eh?
Yeah. There's many reasons not to have kids, or some of those for personal reasons, some of those like people just don't want to raise children as well too, and that's fine too. But honestly, for many people, it's like the kind of world we live in, but also, can they afford to raise a kid comfortably?
Yeah, which is also part of the world we live in. But
yeah.
Anyway, we are not more than 90 minutes in. We should wrap it up.
All right, so Ely, you have your like
my cat account.
Yes.
It's called Princess Luna, and I also have something else, and it's like it's just on a whim because I have started making artwork again, and I have started making lino cuts, and it's just like if anyone wants something like this.
Nice. Looks lovely.
That's cute.
Thank you, John.
I love it.
Yeah. You could contact me. I just actually sold a print to someone in the States, which was a bit of a faff to do, but it was doable for like a reasonable price. But I don't know what's going to happen when Trump puts tariffs of.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fuck, I hate this motherfucker. God.
Yeah.
It's oh my God. I really hope that ends up being a distraction thing, because so many people, even like staunchest allies, are just constantly saying that's such a bad idea.
Yeah. And some companies that like after the election they said to employees, okay, listen, I can't give you like more vacation time, or we can't give you pay raises because like we have to like buy a whole in bulk all of the stuff and steel that we need to like do our operations in the next coming year for like the tariffs coming in the upcoming administration. First of all, just a piece of shit on like that business as well too, like basically making the workers pay for like the increasing costs. The bosses should just like absorb the increasing costs if you ask me. But like then again, they need to make profits, especially if they have shareholders or like owned by like
Still wrapping things up. Stop.
yes. Okay, Joe Mithril, do you have anything to promote?
Can I offer up a YouTube channel who's quite small but gets a lot of hate but does British politics, called
Sure.
Anthony Jones. No
Okay.
H.
Anthony Jones.
No H. He's very good. He's very enjoyable. He's a bit nerdy and he gets a hell of a lot of right wing, Brexit loving, Farage loving, Tommy Robinson loving freaks going at him. So it'd be nice to just drop in and give him a little bit of support now and then.
I think I found Anthony Jones, so there's the YouTube channel. Joe, anything to promote?
Yep.
I've been reading Six of Crows by Leah Bardego? It's hard to but it is like, and I understand her other books are really good too. Like some of them even had an attempt at a like series and stuff, and they are essentially a lot of the post-apocalypse or post dystopian novels that were a big craze after the Hunger Games, but they are just so unabashedly pro LGBT stuff that is just delightful. And I think her prose is I don't know. I never really got into the Hunger Games as much as some parts of it were interesting. I never the prose never really struck with me.
Yeah, I watched the movie. It's like a few of the movies, but I never really paid attention.
They're not bad adaptations of the work. You lose a lot
Yeah,
of
but they
the
made Rue
internal
black, and a lot of people were very upset by that.
you lose a lot with the internal dialogue as far as like story and motivation with the movies, because if you don't know like the idea that essentially uh unlike most things where the narrator is an author self-insert or not audience self-insert, like when you get into her head,
Katniss.
God, I can't think of her name.
Katniss.
Is essentially just being pulled along by the plots of others, and she is because of the torment in her life, she is just dead inside.
But anyway, okay, Isaiah Taylor, you have Galactic Cosplay Crafts Instagram as well too. Anything else to quickly promote?
Nothing at the moment.
And McDonald, you have a YouTube channel. I linked it into the live chat right now, and you're also Owen McDonald on all the other social medias like Twitter and Blue Sky and other things so too, right?
Absolutely. Thank you.
I just subbed to Owen.
Okay.
Lovely.
Yes, I am Summer Geek on all the social medias as well too, at least most of them, including Instagram, including Threads, not on Facebook, but I'm Johnson Scott on Facebook. You can find me there, but there's no fact checking there too. So like maybe there is a Summer Geek there that I don't know about. But also on Tumblr, Blue Sky, and Twitter. Yes. And on like YouTube, I'll post a YouTube video eventually as well too. But also on Twitch, I'm gonna be like streaming Stardew Valley next after I get off this call and like as well too. But like, but also John Brockman, you're part of another podcast, aren't you?
Dungeons and Debacles. We're cops. It's not great. I try to rein us in.
Don't
But
forget charity
yeah,
links.
it's a lot of fun. Very different from this.
Yes, don't forget charitylinks.page and everyone practice self-care.
Yep. Bye bye,
Hey,
everybody.
Bye bye.
Good night, all.
Bye, guys.